All right, here we go. Fresh off of watching the fight. Absolute insanity. Honestly, there's so much to unpack here. To me, it has all the making of a trilogy. Obviously, that's, according to JJ, it's just over. But man, I'm not sure how everyone's gonna respond to this. I'm trying to remember the rounds and who was winning. I felt like Logan was winning early. He was landing a lot of jabs, but JJ was landing a lot of jabs to the body. He was landing a lot of effective jabs to the body. So they seemed again very even. They had some clashes, but JJ was a little wide, Logan was a little wide, and they were missing, so they didn't actually connect on anything cleanly. There actually was one right hand that JJ landed flat. They collided into. Hopefully they have that one in the highlights. But he landed early regardless. It rocked Logan, but if it landed cleanly, he would have been knocked out. And these punches there was so much anxiety and adrenaline you can see from JJ just to land that knockout. He was swinging. I'm having a hard time remembering who was winning before the first knockdown. JJ lands a knockdown, but it's called a slip. Now, I would think that round would have gone to JJ. And typically, a winner of a round is 10-9. If you score a knockdown, it's going to be a 10-8 round, which completely sways the scoring. That round should have been a 10-8. And then fast forward, you have Logan getting a knockdown, but then getting deducted 2 points. Now, this is just going to be, I think, the main focal point of this, because he landed a super clean uppercut that clearly rocked JJ. But then he grabbed the back of his head and then, threw another one that was the one that actually dropped him completely. And then while he was down, landed another right hand to the back of his head. Now, the big part of it is that when JJ got up, there was no 10 count. So that he gave him time to recover, which he should have. You get punched in the back of the head when you're down, and then obviously the illegal punch before that. So the ref saw the illegal punch in the back of the head, and then he also saw the punch when he was down. So he didn't give him a 10 count, even though it was ruled a knockdown. So that's weird. It's ruled a knockdown, but then since there was illegal blows, now you have time to recover. So now the round is scored as if JJ scored a knockdown, which is wild because when you think back of it, you're like, oh, Logan landed that knockdown, but he got deducted points. But that moment you think, oh, Logan landed that, but JJ was awarded 2 points. So in a sense, he was the one who scored the knockdown. And then JJ just dogs out the last round. And it was so crazy because it was so similar to the last fight. It just goes to show you can put in a lot of work, but you're going to revert back to those things. They did do things better, 100%. JJ was more aggressive sooner. Logan just was able to capitalize on his jab and was very active. His lateral movement was pretty good. His head movement was pretty good. JJ had a hard time cutting off the ring and putting him against the ropes to land something. But when you look at the CompuBox box in terms of the punch count, very similar. Logan was only up by a few, but again, it didn't have power punches or significant punches landed on there. So power punch is everything but a jab. So when the fight ends, I'm imagining that we have another draw. I have no idea. The scoring in my head is so jumbled in comparison to what I remember and who having the best moments in the rounds, and because of the deductions and then them missing the knockdown. So I believe one judge had it 56-55 for Logan, which means that if he was only deducted, let's say 1 point, then it would have been another point higher for him. He still would have won the round. But then again, if JJ was scored that knockdown that he should have been scored for earlier in the fight, Logan still could have won that. But then the one for JJ, he won, was it 57-54? That one he still would have won because if you deduct the 2 points, let's say you don't count the 2 points, right? Then it would have been 55. But they didn't give the knockdown to KSI earlier, so that would have bumped him up as well. And then the same thing with the last one. I was thinking 56-55 for KSI. But Logan's obviously thinking, but that last one, 56-55 for KSI, the 2 points, let's say it was only 1 point. Boom, it would have been a draw. But yes, you could say it was 1 point. However, JJ landed the knockdown. So you can turn around and say, well, I landed the knockdown, so if I get that as a 10-8 round, that puts me ahead as well. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. Logan, again, is faced with controversy that he let the emotions get the best of him. You can see him dealing with it in the interview oh, no. It's unfortunate that it's something that happened to Logan again because he's just shooting himself in the foot. He landed the uppercut, a clean punch, very clean punch, ruins it by an illegal uppercut after that, and then punching him while he's down. So then JJ should be awarded that extra time because he has to deal with those punches that he shouldn't have had to have dealt with. And then you have them embracing after. JJ had to really think about that one. He had to really, pause and think about it. And he was like, okay. So it was good to see Logan do that. That was a good moment, I think, for both of them. I think for everyone to be like, yay, everyone was looking forward to that. But then, obviously, you have Logan being like, oh, I'm going to go to the commission and contest it, those 2 points, to maybe try to get a no contest, which will force maybe a rematch. Obviously, you may have to do that. But JJ said, nah, it's over. He might want to fight Jake or whatever, but maybe he wants to take a break. He's been boxing for a while. But it's wild. Both of them didn't get the knockout. They both got knockdowns, however. I definitely didn't see this. I didn't see JJ knocking down Logan, and then Logan knocking down JJ, and then them going, all 6 rounds and taking the punches very well, by the way. These guys were super prepared for punches. I feel like I'm going to have to go back and look at this fight and review the rounds again. It was so exciting. These guys fighting is so exciting. They bring such a thrill because I feel like it's like you don't know who's going to win. It's just like when the heavyweights fight. You feel like one guy is just one punch away from just getting ended. And, when JJ knocked Logan down, I don't think people really thought the fight was going to be over or that JJ was going to win because it was called a slip. But when JJ got hit by the uppercut, there was definitely that feeling in the gut like, oh no, he's got to survive this. And then it was a turnaround because then you realize he got the points deducted. And then he came down like a dog and then just pushed the pace, landing shots, running across the ring, pushing the pace. That's what I'm telling you. You saw our sparring. Obviously my sparring footage is up. His pace was unbelievable. You have to expect that the punches are going to widen and the technique's going to go out the window because he's pushing punches. But he's throwing power punches for 6 rounds straight. He's coming with heat for 6 rounds, running after you, chasing you from corner to corner to corner, all the way around the ring. And then when you hit him, he's coming right back. I swear, if he just took his time, was more methodical, and just tightened up some of those shots, it would have been clean because a lot of them were on time, but just took too long to get there, if you know what I mean. So he was making the right decision in terms of the punch choice, but it just didn't get to the target correctly. Whereas Logan looked better. He looked pretty sharp. He was, evading, and his jab was really good. His jab better than even before. Bringing it back, double jab, triple jab, jab to the head, jab to the body. Logan was clinching a lot. Again, he was, it was surprised he didn't get deducted a point later on in the fight because when he would have his hand over JJ and then was just like sucker punching him underneath, like it was so clear that like sometimes they clinch and then you're slapping some punches, but when you have your hand, over the head and you're punching, they're gonna say that JJ, you got to keep your head up because you're ducking into it. But if you headlock him and punch him, obviously that's gonna be counted against you. And to me, like, what a moment for JJ that when he gets knocked down and gets up, and even though he's stumbling, he's arguing, he still has the conscious mind to be like, what the heck was that? No, let's go, I'm good. Like, it just shows, like, his warrior spirit. That's the thing. I get what these guys are saying in terms of, like, when they talk about professional boxing, because you had some professional fights on this card, and you look at these guys, and these guys were the most entertaining and the most thrilling fight on the card. So it's tough, and you have these very skillful boxers because these guys aren't thinking about their boxing career. They're not thinking like that. They're wearing their heart on their sleeves. They're fighting with everything, and you can see, especially with JJ, he makes the fight so entertaining. He makes it so thrilling. Logan just looked like he was boxing out there. JJ looked like he was fighting for, everything. He looked like Rocky in a movie. He looked like a movie character playing with the emotion and coming back in that grit. Like you could feel that. So I think overall it was very good for boxing. I know Billy Joe Saunders went 11 rounds and the other one went 12 rounds, which is tough to compete with MMA. You have MMA and you have 3 rounds for most of the pros and then 5 rounds for championship fights, but most fights don't make it, the distance. So you can hear people like in the boxing arena with the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, people that get disconnected. The casual fan, doesn't survive past 3 rounds. They just, as soon as they're watching it, even though if it's skillful boxing, they just kind of check out and just, oh wow, big shot landed, and then they back out again. So the tough thing about boxing in the sport is because you have 12 rounds. For the casual fan, I think it's hard to stick around. You had 6 rounds with these guys, but it was non-stop action. 2 knockdowns, controversy, grabbing the head, scrapping, dirty boxing, arguing with the ref, talking back and forth, just wild stuff. Man, I can't even imagine what it'd like to actually be there, because I was super hyped here, and I know how hyped I was, being there last time, but if I was there, I would have been losing it. In the comments below, let me know what you think about, the no knockdown called, and then the 2-point deduction, and just the rest of the rounds. What you think your scorecard was, and what you think about the decision, and then what you think about JJ saying, know that it's over, and when Logan said that he wants to do it again. Because I think that if Logan's going to contest it with the commission, and they come back and say that it should have been 1 point, that makes it a draw. So, at least. All I know, I think that there's going to be another card like this, whether somebody's headlining it or not, like Jake Paul or something. There's going to be more. They're going to see the numbers. They're going to see the hype of this fight, and I know JJ was just, really coming for it, but it was so entertaining and so thrilling. And these guys put on a show, especially with people with the likes of Devin Haney and Billy Joe Saunders. That was the fight of the night, with the 2 knockdowns and just the emotion behind it. It was the fight of the night. Diehard boxing fan, that's probably not the fight of the night, because you're looking at Billy Joe and his knockout, and Devin Haney, his performance. You're looking at Chris boxing and great, beautiful technique, and all those things. But for some reason, I think the pro boxers make it look too easy. They make it look so easy at times that it doesn't really look like they're fighting. I mean, Jake made a comment saying, these guys look like they're sparring in our backyard, and then Ryan had to stop him, Garcia, because they're just making it look easy. And since they're on similar level, they can take the shots differently. Where if you pick that Billy Joe or Devin Haney and you put him in with somebody 1 or 2 tiers lower, and you're going to find out real quick how good those guys are. I think what happens is, like, when you watch any sport, basketball, football, anything, when you see people at a similar level, at like a high level, they make it look so easy that it kind of takes away from all the little nuances that they're doing and the things that they're doing to make their skill so great. But if you put these guys against someone even like a 2 tiers lower, they would embarrass them and make them look like they never done boxing in their life. Yeah, this is wild. I totally did not imagine this. I did not picture this at all. I'm really looking forward to what's come out next, in the next week or two, to what comes out about this fight and the talks about it and stuff like that. So I'm going to go to bed. Leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Oos.